If I'm honest, I never meant for my life to look like this. Maybe nobody does. Nobody grows up hoping to become the kind of woman who talks to her furniture just to hear another voice in the room. But here I am. My name is Emily, and tonight, as I fumble with my keys and drop them for the third time in a row, I wonder if my story is already finished or if it's just about to begin. My apartment is the kind people describe as cozy when they mean small. There are 3 houseplants, 2 chipped mugs in the sink, and 1 clock that hasn't ticked in months. But there's also Max, my dog. The only heartbeat in these 4 walls that isn't mine. Max is waiting for me on the other side of the door, he always is. I don't know how he senses my arrival, but his ears perk up the second my footsteps echo in the hall. When I finally get the door open, he explodes into the kind of celebration reserved for soldiers returning from war. You'd think I'd been gone for years, not just the 8 hours I'd spent staring blankly at spreadsheets in a gray office. Hey, buddy, I manage, my voice rough with exhaustion. Max's tail thumps against the wall like a drumbeat. He leaps at me, all paws and tongue, and I catch him midair, nearly losing my balance. I bury my face in his thick fur and inhale the familiar smell, a mix of grass, sunshine, and that special, indefinable dog scent. If comfort has a fragrance, this is it. I toe off my shoes and shuffle through the apartment, Max glued to my heels. He's a medium-sized mutt with sad brown eyes and an unshakable belief that he belongs exactly where I am, at all times. I used to laugh about it, now I'm just grateful. I drop my bag onto the couch and collapse beside it. The fabric is still warm from this morning's sunlight, and for a moment, I let myself pretend everything is fine. I close my eyes, letting the silence wrap around me like a blanket, and that's when it happens. But there's a sudden weight, a furry, insistent presence pressing down on my lap. I crack one eye open and find Max staring up at me, head cocked, as if waiting for permission. But before I can say a word, he climbs right on top of me. Not beside me, not at my feet, but squarely on me, all 40 pounds of him squirming until he's nestled against my chest. Max, I yelp, half laughing, half exasperated. You can't just, but he ignores me, as usual, settling in with a deep, contented sigh. I try to push him off, but he's already gone limp, his full weight pinning me to the couch. His head burrows into the crook of my arm, and his heartbeat thrums against my ribs. I could move him. I could get up, shake him off, reclaim my personal space. But I don't. Because for the first time today, maybe the first time all week, I don't feel invisible. I don't know if you've ever had a dog climb on you and refuse to move. There's a kind of surrender in it, a silent promise that no matter how heavy the world feels, someone is willing to bear it with you. Max is warm and awkward and entirely too much, but in this moment, I wouldn't trade him for anything. The apartment is quiet except for Max's breathing and the faint hum of the refrigerator. Outside, the city rumbles on, sirens, traffic, the distant shout of laughter or anger. But in here, it's just us. Me and my dog. My accidental family. I stroke Max's back absent-mindedly, feeling the steady rise and fall of his chest. I wonder if he knows how close I came to quitting today. If he can smell the anxiety on my skin, taste the bitterness of disappointment clinging to my hair. Some people say dogs can sense emotions. Maybe that's true, or maybe Max just loves me because I feed him chicken scraps and let him sleep on the bed. I shift slightly, and Max grumbles in protest, pinning me tighter. I laugh, the sound startling in the empty room. All right, you win, I whisper, my voice softer than I meant. You always do. There's a photo of me and Max on the bookshelf, a snapshot from 2 years ago, the day I brought him home. Back then, I was still learning how to be alone. I'd just left a relationship that had slowly drained all the color from my world, and every night felt like wading through thick, black water. A friend at work had shown me a picture of Max online. He looks sad, like you, she'd said, half joking, half concerned. Maybe that's why I chose him. Maybe he chose me, too. Max shifts, pressing his nose to my cheek, and I realize I'm crying. Just a little, just enough to remind myself that I still can. I wipe my eyes before the tears fall onto his fur. If my life is a story, this is the chapter nobody reads out loud. The part where the heroine loses her way, where hope is just a rumor and joy feels like a language she can't speak. But Max is here, a stubborn comma in the middle of my unfinished sentence. He won't let me skip ahead. He makes me stay. Sometimes I wonder what he thinks about, lying there on my lap, refusing to move. Does he know he's saving me, in his own clumsy, persistent way? Or is this just comfort, pure and simple, no questions, no demands, just being together because nothing else makes sense? My phone buzzes from somewhere in my bag, pulling me out of the moment. I ignore it. Tonight, there's nothing I need to hear that could possibly matter more than the weight of my dog on my chest. I run my fingers through Max's fur, tracing the familiar path from his ears to his tail. He's snoring now, little huffs that shake his whole body. I smile, the first real one I've managed in days. Thought it's funny, the things we let ourselves believe. That we have to be strong all the time, that asking for help is weakness, that loneliness is something to be ashamed of. Max doesn't believe any of that. He just loves, without reservation or apology. Maybe he's the wise one, after all. I let my head fall back against the cushion, my eyelids growing heavy. The world outside fades, and for a few precious minutes, I am just a woman on a couch, held down by love. If you're reading this, maybe you felt it too, the relief of being needed, the miracle of being chosen by a creature who doesn't care about your flaws or your failures. Maybe you've had a day like mine, where everything is too much and nothing is enough, until suddenly, it is. Until suddenly, you are. Max stirs, shifting so his paw rests over my heart. I'm okay. I whisper, as if he asked. Really? I'm okay. But it's not quite true. Not yet. Maybe that's the point. Maybe healing isn't a moment, but a process, 1,000 small, stubborn acts of kindness. A dog climbing on your lap and refusing to move, no matter how many times you protest. A heartbeat beside your own, and tonight, I let myself stay pinned beneath him. I let the weight of my dog remind me that I am still here, still breathing, still worth loving. Tomorrow, the world will come knocking again. But tonight, I just sit down, and my dog climbs right on me. And for now, that's enough. It's strange how the smallest comforts can unleash the biggest storms inside you. I barely sleep that night. Max stretched across me, anchoring me with his warmth, as the city's headlights crawl like restless ghosts across my ceiling. But for the first time in weeks, my dreams don't leave me gasping for air. When I finally blink awake, Max is still there, pressed against me as if he's made a promise he can't break. He yawns in my face, all teeth and morning breath, and for a moment I just watch him, chest rising and falling, paws twitching. My heart clenches. It feels almost dangerous, this kind of love, so steady it aches. I reach for my phone, my thumb hovering over the notifications, 3 missed calls from work, a text from my sister, a spam email that claims I've won a cruise. I swipe it all away. Max lifts his head, eyes searching mine, as if he knows I'm drifting toward the undertow again. Not today, I mumble, voice hoarse. Today, it's just us. I sit up carefully, so I don't jostle him too much, and Max shifts, half climbing into my lap the way he always does when he senses a storm coming. It's become our ritual. When the world is too much, when I start to unravel, Max climbs right on top of me and refuses to budge. It wasn't always this way. I let my fingers drift through his fur, tracing the line of his spine, and memories start to bubble up, unwelcome at first, then impossible to push away. They come in flashes, like old home movies on a battered VCR. 2 years ago, I stood in the middle of the animal shelter, knees locked, arms crossed over my chest like armor. The air smelled of bleach and hope. I'd told myself I was just looking, just getting out of the apartment, but the truth was I'd run out of reasons to stay home. The girl at the front desk smiled too brightly. Looking for anyone special? She asked, as if I were there to pick out a dress instead of a future. I wandered from kennel to kennel, heartsick at the way every dog pressed against the wire, desperate for a touch. My chest tightened. I was ready to leave, really, I was, when I saw him. Max, he was curled in the corner of his kennel, not barking, not wagging his tail, just watching. His eyes met mine, big, brown, and so quietly hopeful that I forgot how to breathe. I asked if I could meet him. They handed me a leash, and when Max padded into the meet and greet room, he stopped 3 feet away, as if to say, "We can try this, but only if you're honest with me." I wasn't. Not yet. But Max didn't care. He sat beside me, not touching, but close enough that I could feel his warmth seeping into my bones. Back in the present, Max shifts on my lap, nose pressed to my thigh, and I feel the old ache rising again. That first night, after I brought him home, he howled a low, mournful sound that ricocheted through the apartment. I curled up on the kitchen floor, tears soaking my pillow. Neither of us slept, but by morning, Max had crept under the covers and wedged himself against my heart. We've been holding each other together ever since. A burst of laughter erupts from the apartment next door, someone's morning routine. It jars me out of the memory. I press my palm to Max's chest, feeling his steady heartbeat. "Remember that first walk?" I whisper, not caring how foolish I sound. "You dragged me down the block. I thought you'd pull my arm off." Max thumps his tail in reply, brown eyes bright with mischief. Sometimes I think he remembers it all, the tangled leash, the neighbor who scolded me for letting him sniff her flowers, the way I nearly burst into tears when I thought I'd messed it all up. But he never held it against me. He never holds anything against me. There's a half-eaten tennis ball under the coffee table, another relic of our early days. Max loved it from the start, gnawed on it like it was a golden ticket. I remember kneeling on the living room rug, rolling the ball toward him, watching him chase it and return, over and over, until the motion became a language only we spoke. It wasn't always easy. Some nights, I still woke up clutching my phone, convinced that everyone I loved had left me. I'd stare at the ceiling, heart pounding, until Max climbed onto the bed, slow, patient, pressing his weight against me until my fear softened. He never asked for anything in return. Just a place beside me, just the certainty that I wouldn't disappear. Sometimes, I think I needed Max more than he needed me. My phone buzzes again, and I almost let it ring. But the sound drills into my skull, reminding me of all the things waiting outside this apartment, the deadlines, the obligations, the people who expect me to be someone I can barely recognize. Max shifts, as if sensing my hesitation, and I glance at the screen. It's my sister again. I thumb open her text, "Are you okay? Call me." 3 words. The weight of family, worry, distance, all packed into a digital whisper. I type back quickly, the lie automatic, "I'm fine. Just tired." I drop the phone onto the couch. Max noses at my hand, eyes wide with concern. I smile, weakly. "Don't look at me like that. I'll call her later. Promise." But we both know I probably won't. I get up, Max following so close he nearly trips me. We move together, a strange little parade, woman and dog, both pretending not to be broken. I wander into the kitchen and start the coffee. Max circles my feet, waiting for the sound of kibble hitting the bowl. I pour him breakfast, watching as he gobbles it down, tail swishing like a metronome. I envy his simple joy, the way he meets every meal as if it's a miracle. Maybe it is. Maybe the trick to surviving isn't strength, but gratitude. After breakfast, I sink onto the kitchen floor, coffee mug cupped in my hands. Max sits beside me, head on my knee. I let myself lean into him, absorbing his warmth. "You know," I murmur, "I'm not sure I'd have made it this far without you." His only answer is a soft whine, barely more than a sigh. Another memory surfaces, sharper this time. Last winter, after that awful phone call, the one where my job went from difficult to impossible, where the HR voice on the other end called it a restructuring, but I knew it meant, "You're not wanted here anymore." I came home and locked myself in the bathroom, tears burning tracks down my cheeks. I thought I'd fall apart right there, dissolve into nothing. But Max wouldn't let me. He pawed at the door until I let him in, then curled at my feet, silent and steadfast. I cried into his fur until the worst of it passed. I look down at Max now, running my hand along his back. He sighs, content, and for a moment the ache inside me softens. Outside, the sky is threatening rain. The kind of gray that seeps into your bones. I should get dressed, face the world, pretend to be whole. But I can't, not yet. I drag the blanket From the couch to the floor, wrapping it around myself and Max. He noses under the edge, tucking himself against my side. I close my eyes, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing. The hours slip by. I let them. Work emails pile up, my phone vibrates with messages I have no intention of answering. The only thing that matters is the warmth pressed against me, the silent promise that as long as we're together, we'll be okay. Eventually, hunger pulls me up. I fix toast for myself and sneak Max a piece under the table. He eats it delicately. As if he knows it's a secret, I catch my reflection in the dark window. My hair is a mess, eyes rimmed with fatigue, but there's something softer in my face. Something almost like hope. I press my hand to the glass, watching raindrops race each other to the bottom of the pane. Max sits beside me, head tilted, as if asking what comes next. I don't know. I want to say, I have no idea how to fix this, how to move forward, how to be brave. But then Max rests his head on my foot, his body heavy and grounding. Maybe that's enough for today. Maybe that's enough for now. The day drifts on, the city beyond my window swallowed by rain and distance. But inside, wrapped in a blanket, with my dog, I feel the ache ease, just a little. The world is still out there, sharp and demanding. But here, in this small, fragile space, I can breathe. Max shifts closer, paw draped over my ankle, and I laugh softly, heart aching and full of you're ridiculous, I whisper. But you're mine. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough. The rain finally stops sometime afternoon, leaving the world outside slick and shining. Sunlight pokes through the clouds, glinting off puddles and transforming the drab city streets into something almost beautiful. I watch from the window, Max's nose pressed against the glass beside me, his breath fogging up our little patch of the world. He whines softly, tail swishing, impatient for movement. For life beyond four walls and old memories. I know that look. If I don't give in soon, he'll find his leash and drop it in my lap, eyes wide, insistent, and impossible to resist. I sigh, reaching for my jacket. All right, Max. Let's show the world we're still standing. Max dances around my feet, spinning in frantic circles as I fumble with the leash. He's always known how to drag me out of myself, how to make me move even when it feels impossible. There's a power in that, an animal's certainty that forward is the only way worth going at. We step into the hallway, our little universe behind us, and as I lock the door, I feel a pang of anxiety. The outside world always seems louder after a night spent wrapped in silence and fur. But Max is already pulling me toward the stairs, ears perked, ready to turn the block into his personal kingdom. The city is alive with the aftertaste of rain. The air is sweet, tinged with the scent of wet earth and something electric. Max tugs me down the sidewalk, nose to the ground, pausing to inspect every lamppost and fallen leaf with meticulous devotion. He wags at every passing dog, bounces at every pigeon, and when we pass Mrs. Foster from the third floor, he plants himself in front of her and waits for his ritual ear scratch. Someone's in a good mood, Mrs. Foster croons, bending stiffly to pat his head. Her hair is curled in perfect silver waves, her lipstick a brave red slash. She winks at me. He's got you trained, you know. I manage a smile, sudden warmth blooming in my chest. He really does. We walk on, past the bakery with its windows fogged by the heat of fresh bread, past the little park where Max loves to chase squirrels he'll never catch. I feel the city settling around us, less threatening than it seemed from the safety of my living room. Maybe I can do this. Maybe, with Max, I can do anything. A flock of children spill from a schoolyard, all shrieks and stomping boots. Max pulls me toward them, tail a banner of enthusiasm. One little girl with missing front teeth stops to pet him, giggling as he licks her hand. Her mother gives me a tired but genuine smile. He's so gentle, she says. What's his name? Max, I reply. He kind of rescued me, actually. The woman's smile grows. That's how it works with the good ones. Her words echo in my mind as we continue. How it works with the good ones. Maybe she's right. Maybe the best parts of life sneak in through the cracks, the rescue dogs, the found families, the friendships struck up over shared laughter or shared pain, halfway around the block, my phone rings. I glance at the screen, work. For a split second, the weight of expectation presses down on me, old panic blooming in my chest. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something stubborn rises inside me. I answer. Emily speaking. The voice on the other end is clipped, professional, just a shade too cheerful. My manager. Hi Emily, just checking in. You didn't respond to my emails. We really need the budget proposal by tomorrow. My pulse skitters. For a second, all I hear is my own breath. Max senses it, he sits, planting his back against my shin, looking up as if to say, I'm here. Don't disappear now, I force my voice steady. I'll have it to you by tonight. Great, thanks, my manager says, already half gone, voice dissolving into static as she hangs up. The leash feels heavy in my hand. Max looks up, tail swishing, his eyes filled with wordless understanding. I swallow the anxiety that wants to rise, taking a shaky breath. I lead Max to the park bench, the one tucked beneath an ancient maple, its paint peeling and slats warped from decades of weather and use. I sit hard, elbows on my knees, head in my hands. Max doesn't hesitate. He leaps onto the bench, climbs awkwardly into my lap, ignoring the limits of space or decorum. He's heavier than he looks, but I let him settle, his weight grounding me as I try to remember how to breathe. People pass by, a few glancing our way with smiles or laughter. Some take photos. 2 teenagers on bikes make a show of groaning, that's one spoiled dog. But their grins are kind, not mocking. A woman pushing a stroller stops. He's not going to let you go anywhere, is he? Not a chance, I reply, voice tight but genuine. The sun emerges fully, painting gold across Max's fur. I lean back, letting the world spin on without me for a moment, letting the pressure ease beneath the steady rise and fall of Max's chest. I think about all the things I haven't said, the calls I haven't returned, the parts of myself I keep locked away. It's easier to let Max take up space, to let him demand what I can't. Maybe that's why I love him so fiercely. He gives me permission to just be, without apology. The world around us feels distant, softer, as if someone's turned down the volume. I hear Max's heartbeat, feel his warmth, and something inside me loosens. Do you remember our first walk in this park? I murmur, not caring if anyone overhears. You tried to eat a whole sandwich someone dropped on the grass. I thought you'd choke. Max yawns, unconcerned, and presses closer. I laugh, surprising myself with the sound. It feels foreign, but good, like stretching after a long winter day. An elderly man shuffles past, nodding. He's a good dog. They always know when you need them most. I nod, my throat tight. He really does. Max licks my hand, as if to prove the point. I scratch behind his ears, letting my fingers find the scar near his collar, the one he got before I knew him, back when the world hadn't been kind. It reminds me that healing is slow, that some scars never vanish, but maybe they don't have to. A breeze stirs, ruffling the leaves, and I watch as Max surveys his kingdom, the park, the passers-by, the pigeons too bold for their own good. He's content just to be here, to exist alongside me in this fleeting patch of sunlight. A child chases a dog across the grass, shrieking with delight. For a second, I envy the simplicity of it, the joy in movement, the freedom of not caring. Who's watching? Max shifts, burrowing his head against my ribs. I stroke his back, my voice barely above a whisper. Thank you, I say. For not giving up on me. He lifts his head, meets my eyes, and in that look is everything I can't say out loud: gratitude, forgiveness, love. The kind of love that doesn't ask for anything, that doesn't leave when things get messy. My phone buzzes again. Another reminder, another demand. I silence it without looking, focusing on the moment, the sunlight, the gentle weight of Max in my lap, the soft symphony of the city around us. Maybe this is enough. Maybe, for today, surviving is its own kind of victory. Eventually, I stand, stretching my stiff legs, and Max hops down, tail wagging. We continue our walk, moving slowly, as if savoring each step. The world feels less threatening now, more manageable. We pass the bakery again, the scent of cinnamon and sugar drifting Into the street. I buy a scone, breaking off a piece for Max, who accepts it with delicate joy. A woman at the counter smiles knowingly. He takes care of you, doesn't he? I nod. More than he knows. We wander home, the city softer, the afternoon gentler. When we reach our building, I let Max lead the way, his paws sure and steady on the worn steps. Inside, the apartment is cool and quiet, a refuge from the world's sharp edges. I shrug off my jacket, collapsing onto the couch. Max jumps up immediately, climbing onto my lap, pressing his head against my chest. His weight is familiar, comforting, a living reminder that I'm not alone. Not really. I close my eyes, letting the day settle around me. The world will keep spinning, demands will keep piling up, but for now, in this moment, there's only Max and me. Tomorrow might bring storms, inside or out. But today, there is sunlight, there is laughter, there is the miracle of being held together by a dog who climbs right on top of me and refuses to let go, and for now, that's all I need. It starts with the wind, low, restless, rattling the windows. As dusk bleeds into night. I notice it when I'm scraping together dinner, Max curled on the kitchen mat, eyes tracking my every move. There's electricity in the air, prickling across my skin, raising every hair on my arms. The city feels uneasy, holding its breath, and a knot forms in my stomach. I set the pan on the stove, hands clumsy, and glance at the clock. The hour is late, but it doesn't matter. I haven't felt hungry all day, just hollow, like someone scooped out all the important parts and left me running on memory and coffee. Max lifts his head, ears swiveling, nose twitching. A rumble shakes the glass, a warning. Thunder. A storm is coming. Suddenly, the world is all sound and shadow. Rain slashes at the windows, wind howling down the empty street, thunder rolling over the rooftops like an accusation. The lights flicker, and I flinch, heart leaping to my throat. I've always hated storms, not the rain, never the rain, but the noise, the sense of something bigger and uncontrollable pressing in, reminding me how small I really am. Childhood memories claw at the edges of my mind, hiding under blankets. Wishing someone would hold me, tell me it was just weather, that it would pass. Now, as an adult, I still crave that comfort. But there's no one to call. My phone sits silent, screen black. I don't even reach for it. What would I say? I'm scared, can you come over? No one comes for storms, except Max. He's up before the thunder cracks again, padding toward me. Tail low but determined. He noses at my leg, whines once, then presses his body against me, heavy and unyielding. I drop to my knees, arms around his neck, face buried in his fur. He smells like rain and hope, even indoors. It's okay, buddy. I whisper, but my voice is trembling. It's just a storm. Just noise. The words sound thin, even to me. Another flash, lightning splits the room, white and merciless. For a second, every scar inside me glows like a secret map. I squeeze my eyes shut, gripping Max tighter, willing myself not to fall apart. He pulls away, nudging my hand, guiding me out of the kitchen and toward the living room. He does this every time, as if he knows the walls are closer in there, the couch a safer harbor than cold tile and flickering light. We settle together, me curled at one end of the couch, Max climbing awkwardly over me, pressing his full weight into my chest. He sprawls across me, his body heavy, solid, alive. It's hard to breathe, but I don't move him. I don't want to. The storm rages outside, all sound and fury, but in here, Max is the only gravity that matters. He won't let me drift. I think about the last time I felt this way, helpless, pinned beneath a wave I couldn't name. It was months ago, after the phone call that gutted my future, when I lost my job and nearly lost myself. I'd spent that night pacing, fists clenched, staring out the window at a world that kept moving without me. Max had watched me silently, then leapt onto the bed and pressed against my side, refusing to let me get up until morning. I realize now that he saved me, that night. Not with words or grand gestures, but with presence, with the stubborn insistence that I wasn't as alone as I thought. Tonight, the fear is different, quieter, but sharper. It's not just the storm. It's what the storm stirs up, old disappointments, all the things I never fixed, the people I let drift away. I feel each Regret like a stone in my chest, the thunder shakes the building, a book tumbles from the shelf. I jump, pulse skittering, and Max responds instantly. He shifts, his head landing right over my heart, his eyes searching mine. He's heavy, so heavy, and for a moment, I welcome it. The weight pins me in place, keeps the panic at bay. I focus on the details, his fur under my hands, his warm breath against my neck, the steady thump of his tail whenever I whisper his name. Max, Max, I'm here. We're here. He doesn't move. Doesn't blink. It's as if he's willing me to stay present, to weather the storm with him. A flash of lightning, so close it leaves a blue afterimage on my eyelids. The power goes out. The apartment is swallowed by darkness, and my heart kicks into overdrive. Panic claws at my throat, memories of another night, years ago, when the lights died and I was left clutching a phone that never rang. I'd promised myself I'd never feel that alone again. But here I am, knees pulled to my chest, cold air prickling my skin, silence so loud it feels like screaming, and then, a weight, a warmth. Max, refusing to give up his place on top of me, refusing to let me fold into myself. He lays his paw across my heart, a silent promise. I sob, just once, a sound torn from someplace raw. I try to muffle it, but Max is already licking my cheek, whining softly. The dam breaks. Tears fall, hot and relentless. I cling to Max, letting the grief out, letting the thunder drown it. I cry for lost jobs, for family far away, for every moment I didn't say what I needed, for every friend I let slip from my life because it was easier to be alone than to risk being hurt. Max doesn't judge, doesn't leave. He stays, all 40 pounds of stubborn love, holding me together when I can't do it myself. After a while, the tears slow. The storm outside softens, thunder grumbling into the distance, rain easing to a whisper. In the quiet that follows, I can hear Max's heartbeat, steady as a drum. I stroke his ears, letting my breathing match his. My body aches from the tension, but I don't let him move. Not yet. A memory surfaces, another storm, years before Max, when I was still trying to be the strong one for everyone else. I remember sitting in a dark room, telling myself to grow up, to stop being afraid. I remember wishing someone would hold me, just for a while. Tonight, I realize I have that someone. Maybe he has paws and fur and a crooked tail, but he's here. He stayed. The power flickers back on, the refrigerator humming to life, the apartment washing in soft gold light. I blink, dazed, as if I've surfaced from deep water. Max looks up, tongue lolling, eyes searching my face as if to ask, "Are you okay now? Did we make it?" I press my forehead to his. "We made it, buddy. I'm okay. I promise." But something has changed. The fear hasn't vanished, but it feels different, smaller, manageable. Like I'm not carrying it alone anymore. I sit up slowly, Max shifting to let me breathe. He settles beside me, head on my knee, eyes never leaving mine. There's a challenge in his gaze, a dare. To get up. To keep going. To try again tomorrow. I take a shaky breath, wiping my face. My phone pings, power's back. World's waiting. I ignore it. For now, this tiny, storm-battered space is all I need. I think about what it means to be brave. Not the kind of bravery they put in movies, fistfights and speeches and running into burning buildings, but the quieter kind. The kind that looks like staying when it would be easier to run. The kind that climbs on top of someone and won't let them disappear, even when they beg for space. Max noses at my hand, and I laugh, a sound shaky but real. "You're ridiculous," I tell him. "But you're mine." He thumps his tail, happy to accept the title. I lean back into the couch, pulling the blanket over us both. The world outside still rages, but inside, there's only warmth and the soft, stubborn pressure of a dog who refuses to let me hide. Tomorrow will bring its own storms, phone calls and emails, and the ache of trying to piece myself together. But tonight, for just a little longer, I let myself rest beneath the weight of love I don't have to earn. Maybe I'll always be a little bit afraid of storms. Maybe I'll always flinch at thunder, always wish for someone to hold me through the dark. But tonight, I have Max. And somehow, that makes all the difference. The last thing I remember before sleep finds me is the sound of his breathing, the feel of his heart beating next to mine, a living lullaby, promising that I am not alone. Not now, not ever. The world always looks different after a storm. Maybe it's the way the air feels washed clean, heavy with promise and the scent of wet concrete, or maybe it's just that I survived another night. I wake on the couch, stiff and tangled in blankets, my hair a wild halo around my head. For a second, I forget where I am, forget the darkness, the fear, the tears that carved rivers on my cheeks, and then I feel Max. His weight still presses into my side, solid and warm. I blink against the early light, watching as he lifts his head and yawns, stretching out as if he's slept 1,000 years. His tail wags once, thumping against my ribs, a gentle reminder that I'm not alone, that I'm still here, that the world, for all its sharp edges, hasn't beaten me yet. I run my hand along his back, finding comfort in the mundane. The apartment is silent except for Max's breathing and the faint hum of the city shaking itself awake outside. The storm has passed, leaving only puddles and scattered leaves as evidence. Everything is still, poised on the edge of something new. I sit up, slowly, untangling myself from the blanket. Max watches me, brown eyes bright and alert, as if waiting to see who I'll be today. Am I the woman who hid from the thunder? Or am I someone else now, someone braver, lighter, changed? A surge of something unfamiliar rises in me, resolve. Maybe, or just the stubborn hope that things don't have to stay the same. I take a deep breath, letting the air fill my lungs, feeling the ache of last night fading into something softer. Ready for a walk? I whisper, the words barely leave my lips before Max is up, spinning in frantic circles, leash in his mouth. He bounces at my knees, impossible to ignore. His joy is contagious. I can't help but laugh, really laugh, not the brittle sound I used to fake for friends and family, but something full and bright. I throw on my jacket and slip into my shoes. The apartment feels smaller now, almost too small to contain the possibility humming in my chest. I open the door, letting in a gust of cool morning air, and Max barrels ahead, pulling me into the world beyond my old fears. Outside, the streets are washed clean. Neighbors sweep debris from their stoops, children splash in puddles, and somewhere, someone is singing, a thin, hopeful thread woven through the quiet. The sun cuts through the clouds, sharp and golden, and I close my eyes for a moment, letting the light warm my face. We walk in silence, Max's leash slack between us. He trots along at my side, occasionally glancing back as if to make sure I'm still there, still moving forward. The world is both new and achingly familiar, same cracks in the sidewalk, same crooked streetlights, but now everything feels sharper, more alive. Halfway down the block, we pass the bakery. The owner, a round woman with flour dusted in her hair, waves at us from the doorway. Rough night, she calls to I nod, grinning. Storm kept us up. She chuckles. At least you had company. I glance at Max, who wags his tail at the attention. The best kind. She disappears inside, and I keep walking, the scent of bread trailing after us like a promise. We reach the park, and Max tugs at the leash, eager to run. I unclip it, watching as he takes off across the grass, splashing through puddles, shaking water everywhere. For a moment, I let myself forget about everything else, the emails, the unfinished work, the ache that never fully leaves. There's only Max, leaping through sunlight, unstoppable. I sit on our favorite bench, the old maple's leaves still trembling from the night before. I watch Max chase a squirrel, tail flagging behind him, and wonder if he remembers the storm, or if he's already let it go. I close my eyes, letting the city's sounds fade, and think about what it means to move forward. Maybe it's not about forgetting the fear or pretending it never happened. Maybe it's about choosing to stand up, to walk out the door, to keep going even when your legs are shaking. That a shadow falls across my lap, and I open my eyes to see Max standing in front of me, tongue lolling, fur spattered with mud. He looks ridiculous and magnificent, a wild thing in a tame world. He hops up onto the bench and, without hesitation, climbs right into my lap, 40 pounds of pure, stubborn love. I groan, but I don't move him. I wrap my arms around his middle, burying my face in his wet fur. You don't give up, do you? I whisper. He thumps his tail, tongue dragging across my cheek. It's in that moment, with Max pressed against me and the world humming quietly around us, that I know something has to change. I can't keep living in the shadow of storms, waiting for the next disaster to break me. I owe Max more than that. I owe myself more. 2my phone buzzes in my pocket, a sharp reminder that life is still waiting. I glance at the screen. My sister, you okay? I hesitate for a heartbeat, then type back, I am. For the first time in a long time, I really am. The words feel true, solid, unshakable. Max nudges my chin, demanding my attention. I smile, brushing a smear of mud from his nose. I think we should do something different today, I say out loud. Something brave. Max cocks his head, as if in agreement. I take a deep breath, letting possibility settle on my shoulders. I picture the things I've avoided, the job I hate, the friends I've ignored, the risks I've been too afraid to take. I picture a life not shaped by fear, but by hope. A life where storms are just weather, not omens. I reach for my phone. Again, scrolling to my boss's number. My finger hovers, nerves buzzing, but I press call before I can talk myself out of it. She answers on the second ring, her voice brisk. Emily? I swallow hard. I can't keep working late nights. I need a better schedule, or I can't do this anymore. There's a pause, long, awkward, heavy, then she sighs. Okay. We can talk about options on Monday. It's not a miracle. It's not even a solution. But it's a start. I hang up, exhaling a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Max paws at my leg, tail wagging, and I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in months. A breeze rustles the leaves overhead. I watch as Max lifts his nose to the air, eyes bright with anticipation. He hops off my lap, standing tall and proud, then looks back as if to say, "Are you coming?" I stand, brushing dirt from my jeans. Let's go home, buddy. We walk back together, side by side, the city alive with morning and the promise of second chances. As we reach our building, a familiar figure steps onto the sidewalk, Mrs. Foster from the third floor, her tiny dog in tow. She waves, smiling. Good morning, Emily. You too survived the storm? I grin. Wouldn't have made it without him. She chuckles. He's a keeper. I nod, meaning it with my whole heart. He really is. Inside, the apartment feels different. The air is clear, the light golden. I open the windows, letting the breeze chase away the last shadows of last night. Max circles the living room, then hops onto the couch, glancing at me expectantly. I laugh, sitting beside him. He wastes no time, he climbs right on top of me, pinning me to the cushions, his heartbeat thrumming against my chest. For a moment, I let myself feel everything, the fear, the hope, the exhaustion, the love. I let myself be held, not by obligation, but by choice. I think about all the days ahead, the storms that will come, the quiet nights, the mornings washed cleaned by rain. I think about Max, always climbing right on top of me, always refusing to let me drift too far. Maybe I'll never stop being afraid. Maybe storms will always make my heart race. But I know now that I can survive them, not because I'm strong, but because I'm not alone. I look at Max, his eyes bright, his love fierce and stubborn. Thank you, I whisper. For everything. He licks my nose, settling in, and I laugh, the sound echoing through the sunlit room. For the first time, I don't feel like my story is finished. It feels like it's just beginning, and